It's been 84 years. Okay, no, it hasn't been that long. It's been a little while since we've seen a brand new game on Google Stadia, and it's been very rare that we were getting a day-and-date release with other consoles, but today has finally come, the long-anticipated, glorious title known as Monster Energy Supercross 3. Now, the glorious Stadia Wingy, he made a video the other day asking his viewers and just the Stadia community in general, or just anyone in general, should Stadia users feel obligated to buy games like Supercross 3 or any new game on Stadia just to simply support the platform? Good argument, and well, in the end he's actually right about it all, but go check his video out and kind of get that idea, get that discussion and debate going, because it is a good debate. Because should we be obligated, or not necessarily obligated, but should we feel enticed to buy these new games so we can show developers that, hey, we do want games on your platform? And I get the argument of, yeah, maybe you should. But at the same time, we shouldn't be forced to buy things to actually get what we really want. And well, in case you were actually wondering how Supercross 3 is for Google Stadia, I did all that for you. But we're doing this in a new kind of series because, well, Stadia is in its own kind of class. Now, as far as I know, because I'm not going to buy the other 3 versions, or other 4 versions of this game, because I wouldn't do that with any game really on any system unless it was like a really good game and it was like $10 maybe. But this is different. It's a $60 game, and as far as I'm aware, every single game is exactly the same in terms of what they offer and what they do. Now, graphical fidelity may be different across all platforms, especially on the Switch version, but we're talking about the Stadia version, so just keep that in mind. With the Stadia version, you get the access to your controller as well as using the mouse and keyboard. I'll get into that a little bit if it's worth even trying it out, but the main point of this, and kind of bringing my whole point around, is on Stadia, things are different. If I don't like this game, I can simply return it. Can't really do that with the other consoles unless you maybe are in that grace period of, okay, well, you haven't returned a game this year, we'll let you do it this once. But Sony and Microsoft are very weird about it, and they don't really have it out there in the world for you to know. But Google's different. So this is a little series I'm going to call Keep or Return. Now, before we jump into this, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit that bell notification so you get up-to-date notifications on when I go live with new videos or when I actually do some live streams. Yesterday, I released a video announcing my involvement with Stadia Super Saturday. It's a Mortal Kombat tournament. Hit this link up here to find out more about it, because guess what? You can enter and there's still a spot left as of this video. Right now, we have a 16 max entrant level. If the response is overwhelming, we might add more to that, but at the moment we're going with 16, and as of this particular moment, 15 people have already registered, so get on it already. Let's jump into Supercross 3 for Google Stadia. I will be playing this initially on my Chromecast with the Stadia controller, and then we'll jump over to the computer and see how playing it with the keyboard is. And then at the very end, I'm going to tell you, should you buy this game or return it? And then I will give you what exactly I will end up doing, so you kind of get an idea that, okay, he didn't like it, so he's going to return it. Or, hey, he likes it, he's going to keep it. Now, so without further ado, let's jump over the Chromecast and go into this game. You won't see my face during this because I want you to be able to kind of see the entire picture, but you will hear me talking over it. So, enjoy.
So immediately once you start the game, you are prompted with editing the appearance of your character, or as the game calls it, your rider. You get to pick your jersey number, although some are locked behind some progression. Thankfully, my favorite number, 13, was available. You can pick the style and font of your name and number, but nothing too groundbreaking here in the intro. As for your actual appearance, you are allowed to select from predetermined variations of faces, so no in-depth editing like you would see in an NBA or WWE game here. The dark brown is sort of a joke and doesn't reflect my actual hair color at all, and these character models for a game in 2020 is not all that impressive. But we're going to be covered by a helmet for the most part, so this is kind of an unnecessary thing to worry about. Lastly, we get to pick our bike sponsor. I went with Kawasaki because I like the bikes look the best, and that's it. We jump into the tutorial, and you get a limited amount of options right at the start in regards to what we can edit. Once we get into the actual stadium, it's nice to know that they didn't have to go down the generic stadium name route. NRG Stadium is the actual name of the facility where the Houston Texans NFL team plays, so this is a nice facet to keep the game steeped in the realistic nature it's looking to uphold. You have the controls set next to you the entire time you ride, but while you are actually riding, there isn't anything to tell you what to do, like a typical tutorial would and absolutely should. The only reason I have any of this slightly down is thanks to playing Trials in the last week, which does feature tutorials that actually guide you and tell you how to ride your bike. As you can see in the background and as I talk, I get absolutely wrecked riding. I love simulation sports, so this seems pretty up to par when it comes to realism of the actual sport. Motocross is no joke and is quite dangerous. It's also quite impressive. Needless to say, however, the lack of any true teaching within the game during the game's introductory tutorial is baffling and will be a turnoff to those who aren't entirely familiar with motocross, but wanted a different take on the simulated racing genre. But finally, we limp to the end in a place worse than last. What do you mean I know everything I need to know? And let's just move on from the tutorial and the lack thereof. Once we finish the tutorial, we can go to the main menu for the first time. We see here we have home, single player, multiplayer, create, and extras. In the home menu, we can go through different tutorials within the game. Only one involves the actual gameplay, which is the one we just went through, while the others detail certain aspects of what you will be playing throughout the game's modes. We won't be going into any of this because, well, we're just talking about the actual game itself. Next is the microtransaction screen, and right now you can buy cosmetics and credits, which will allow you to buy in-game items. At the moment, that's it, but there are slots for more, so I'd expect future DLC updates to come as time goes on. Speaking of future DLC releases, there is a notification center on the home screen detailing that exact roadmap. Here you'll get information about the actual game and perhaps other notifications as well in the future. In the options menu, of most interest to those who may be watching is the visual aspect of it. For reference, I am playing on a 1080p monitor with a non-4K capture card, so that is what you are watching at this moment. In game, you can only adjust the gamma, which seems quite barren for a game in 2020. We will skip single player until the very end because if you're buying this on Stadia, you're probably going to be focused primarily there. On the multiplayer side of things, this should come as no surprise to you, but the lobbies are pretty empty. If I struggle for consistency in Mortal Kombat lobbies, there ain't a snowball's chance in hell Monster Energy Supercross 3 lobbies will be jam-packed. And to be fair, I'd be surprised if they were packed even on the Xbox and PlayStation releases. This isn't exactly a game that will be setting the gaming community on fire, but within the multiplayer menu you get an option to create public and private lobbies and set your options for doing so. Next, let's talk about the creation suite. Immediately, you are welcomed by a track creator option. It includes a tutorial, but we'll skip that for now. I love baseball, so let's go with the baseball style stadium. I'm not a very creative individual, but I can see people going nuts with this. You have the different options between starts, turns, straights, the multiple succession of bumps known as whoops, amongst other options to design your track with. This kind of thing is not for me, but I'm sure someone will find vast enjoyment out of this. Unless I missed something, you are saddled with bike and rider presets, meaning you can't do anything to change the look of the bike and the rider's jersey color and overall appearance outside of career mode. This is a bummer to me because I like the overall control when it comes to customizing my athlete and simulated sports titles. But this becomes a non-issue in career mode, so without further ado, let's jump in. Right off the bat, you get to pick the 250 series in the East or the West. Upon completion of, I imagine, one or both, you unlock the 450 series. But keep in mind that this is a first look, gameplay first type of analysis of the game to determine if you should keep or refund this game. Playing the career mode's first track was more enjoyable, perhaps because I was most likely on an easier difficulty, but as I said before, if it weren't for trials, I probably wouldn't have had much experience or luck playing this. I ended up winning, so that was fun, and once we completed that, we get the chance to either sign with a team or get a sponsor. With the team option, it would appear you have no control over your look, so I went with a sponsor. And glad to know I was right because I have full customization over my look as well as my bike. This is important to me as I like to have my own look and feel when it comes to games. I want to feel like the person I am playing with is actually me. This is a great step in that direction in that respect. In career mode, you can change options, and I said I was on an easy mode, actually very easy. From here you can adjust the way the races are conducted. If you want to jump straight into races, you can do so by selecting one shot. Go semi-pro and you'll participate in qualifying and then the race. Do the real thing mode and you participate in qualifying, heats, last chance qualifiers, and the race itself. I'd imagine not many people will select an option outside of one shot and maybe semi-pro. We live in a give it to me now culture and the real thing mode ain't it. Outside of that, career mode is pretty barren, not much else to do but jump into the race. Perhaps over time you can see schedules and other career-related items, but this seems pretty empty for this game's flagship mode. We'll jump quickly over to computer to resolve two things. How does the game play with a keyboard, and will we keep or refund this game? I would like to say right off the bat that I don't have the best means of recording gameplay footage from Stadia on PC to OBS. The settings my computer requires to show Chrome and OBS conflicts with what I need to have Stadia running at peak settings. So this isn't a direct capture, but a display capture, so the graphical fidelity of what you are seeing was not in any way indicative of what I saw whilst playing. When playing on PC, you have two options. Plug your controller and play like normal, or use the defaulted input method in the game, the keyboard. And let me tell you, using WASD for a racing game is not an easy feat. I can only recommend this option if you are a die-hard motocross fan who lacks a controller. It is not an immersive experience at all and is quite frustrating to say the least.
Now to the moment of truth. I had to refund it. Okay, so I could see myself spending countless hours playing this game, but you know, even though it does the racing aspects of it well, the gameplay is very fluid, it just feels great. It's just, there's not a lot there. I mean, this is a $60 game. $60 you are being asked to pay for. And this isn't exclusive to Stadia, this is exclusive to the Switch, the PlayStation, Xbox, PC, wherever you buy this game. It's all the same thing. So you are being asked to spend a lot of money on a game that just doesn't really feel like it has a lot to it, besides just, you know, playing the game. And the fact that the multiplayer is just going to be a very low populated area no matter what platform you'll be on, I'm just going to assume, because I mean, this isn't really, you know, your top tier racing titles in the world. It's not your Forzas, it's not your Mario Kart, it's Motocross 3, you know, sponsored by Monster Energy, you know, because that's just, some people are just rushing out to pre-order. But it does the racing aspects well, but as someone who is a big fan of simulated sports modes like the franchise mode in Madden, even though that could use some work, but that's another discussion, the NBA 2K's My League mode, and of course the franchise mode over in MLB The Show, those are my most played modes because I like the immersion aspect. I like messing with teams, I like trading, free agency, signings, all these kinds of things. But when it comes to this game, and I know it's not those sports, it's not baseball, it's not football, it is motocross. So I mean, yes, it's going to be a little more limited in that aspect, and maybe if I kept on playing I would find out more things. But just looking at the menus, I mean, you're not typically getting completely new menu options out of nowhere because you just start to progress within the game. That's just usually not how these games work. Now, as I said, the racing aspect, awesome. It feels good, it plays good. The tutorial is not a tutorial, it's here's the controls, that's it. It doesn't tell you how you should be leaning. It doesn't tell you how you should be scooting across turns. And I know I'm not using the term properly, but there's an art to that, and there's really no way of explaining it or kind of, you know, jumping you in and say, hey, do this 10 times. You know, Trials does such a great job with this, and we already mentioned this. And if I hadn't played Trials, leaning, I have no idea what the hell is going on, because this game doesn't describe leaning, it doesn't describe turning, it doesn't describe anything really well. And maybe it does somewhere else, but I looked pretty hard and I couldn't find anything. The only tutorial for the gameplay is the one that starts off the game itself. Now, there's some good customization options within the career mode. It doesn't seem like it's an option outside of career mode, which I guess it's not that big of a deal, because are you really going to be spending a lot of time creating a player or creating a rider outside of career mode and using them just in like exhibition races? Probably not. But the career mode is so limited, there's not much to do, and in good conscience, I cannot recommend you spending $60 on this game. And especially because we just saw this game become free on PlayStation Plus not too long ago, I could see this sometime next year becoming that same exact thing here on Stadia, because, you know, Stadia is not going to be starting to offer Borderlands 3 for free or Assassin's Creed. I mean, they could do Assassin's Creed, so I won't get too far, but they're not going to be doing like Borderlands 3, they're not going to do like a Red Dead Redemption. You're going to be getting games like this in the future. Now, I'm sitting here thinking, if this game is $20, I would not even have thought twice to refund it. It would be as simple, I would have bought it, and I'd play it when I'm bored and want to get $60. This isn't the game for me to get that fill. I have plenty of games that I'd rather be spending my time playing with, whether it's Borderlands, Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem on the Switch. There's just so many things that I'd rather be doing, rather be spending my time on, and at the same time not losing $60 in the process for something I'm really not going to want to take time away to go play. Like I said, if it was a lower price, I would absolutely recommend it, but $60 is way too high. I know this will be on sale in the future, and there's a good chance this will be a pro game in the future. And it's also nice to see more sports games in the store on Stadia. And while you may say, well, racing's not a sport, yeah, you're right for the most part when it comes to, I think, the car aspect. I think when it comes to motocross, there's actually a little bit more athleticism involved, because it does require your body to be truly involved on a, actual aspect of the course, I'm really just talking about things I have no reason to talk about, no expertise at all. I never raced, all right, whatever. But I got this idea from a Twitter user who replied to a tweet I made yesterday saying, hey, if I did a video review on this game, would you watch? And he suggested, well, you could play for about an hour and 59 minutes and return it. And I was like, dude, that is dirty. But at the same time, I got to thinking, it's not a bad idea for a series, because on Google Stadia, you have the option to return games unlike other places. Now, if I go to Walmart and bought this game, you know what my options were after I opened that packaging? I could return it and get a brand new copy unsealed, or I could bring it to GameStop for maybe a $25, $30 credit, or maybe I can try selling it on eBay and hopefully someone is dumb enough to buy it for at least $40. You're really, pretty much screwed out of luck. Now, here on Stadia, or before I go that far, you buy this digitally on any platform, you might be able to get a refund if you aren't playing it long enough, but the odds are very slim, and chances are you might have already done that with one of the systems already, because they may have you can only do this once a year kind of thing, and that's possible. You might get a refund, yes, but is it within the the aspect of you can always do this? No. Google Stadia, as long as you have under 2 hours of gameplay time, under 2 weeks of owning the game, you can always return it. Hopefully this doesn't become something that's abused by a lot of people, and I know I might be kind of furthering that possibility by actually broadcasting this online. But I wanted to show you the power of what Stadia can do in terms of a customer service side of things when you are not satisfied with your purchase. And that is huge, because we live in a society where our money is at a premium when it comes to gaming, and because our time is at a premium. We only have so much time to play these games. And if we spend $60 on a game and we are not satisfied, we need to be able to say, you know what, this isn't for me. Let me bring it back. Now, if you spend 20 hours playing this game and you find out 2 months from now it's for free on Pro and you start complaining, okay, you got your money's worth at that point. Just let other people enjoy it. Let other people join your multiplayer lobbies, because, boy, they will need it. All right? But I just want to kind of put this out there that, yes, I did return it, and I wanted to give that idea that you can do this on Stadia. And at the same time, I really was interested in trying this game after Trials. I did put up a poll on Twitter saying, after Trials, I was kind of interested in this game now, but after spending some time with it, going through the career mode, and just knowing that there's really not much for me personally as someone who loves these sports simulations, I just couldn't part with that $60. If this goes on sale for maybe $20, maybe $30, I might be convinced at $30, I might say, okay, I'll buy it then. But $60 was just too much for me to completely part with when it came to this game specifically. So I hope that helped you maybe. If you were kind of like me when it comes to playing sports games, maybe that is just going to be your tipping point that, well, that's just not enough for me either. So thank you for making this, and I won't be spending my money there. I'll be spending it elsewhere. Thank you. That's what I want to know. Or maybe this was exactly the opposite. And you're like, oh man, that looks fun. I do want to play that, and that is definitely worth my money. I'm going to spend it right now. Thank you for showing me everything within the game. And that's what I'm hoping to gain here or hoping to show you here. So that was my goal. That was my end game. That was my goal. All right. But let me know in the comment section down below, did you buy this game? If you did, what are your thoughts? If you didn't, what stopped you from buying it? And did you refund it like I did if you did buy it initially? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like this video, because more people will find out about Stadia. More people will find out about whether this game is for them or not. And then, of course, it helps me out, because more people just find me like you just did, okay? Of course, subscribe as I already mentioned before, and go check out my latest video on the Mortal Kombat tournament coming up for Stadia Super Saturday. When I started recording this video, there was 1 spot open. Now there's 0 spots open, but you can still register, and if we have enough people register, we will open the tournament up even more. We'll make it a bigger tournament. So keep on registering. Hopefully we get a larger pool and we can have this thing going for a while, all right? But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for sticking around. Of course, party on.